Hey there everybody, and welcome to my darkroom. Alright, today we're going to be developing some 35mm film. First we're going to go over the different ways that we load our film onto our reels for processing. In my darkroom I have two kinds of tanks. First one is a pretty basic Patterson tank. This is just a plastic tank that comes with these nice plastic reels. And then I also have an older steel developing tank, or a stainless steel developing tank. This one here is a Brooks, and it does a single roll of 35mm film at a time. Very small and compact. So I'm just going to go over how to load both of these before we get to loading and developing our 35mm film today. So to do that, I have a test strip of film here. This is out of a color film canister, just scrap, and it's basically used to test and practice. So the same way I'm going to show you guys how to load this is how I practice to get able to do this in the dark. Alright, so first I'm going to show you guys how to load film using a Brooks tank. And this is pretty simple. This tank has three parts. You have the base, you have the reel yourself, and then you have your top lid with your baffles for light proofing. So what you're going to do is grab out your reel, and on this reel you start it by winding the film around the inside, and you'll see there's actually a tooth in there, this guy right here, and that's actually what you lock the film onto as you wind out. And you can see that this spirals out, so you're going to wind the film in the direction of that spiral. So, like I said, we start by winding to the inside. So, we take our film and we locate that notch. And then we simply just feed it onto that notch. And then once we have it fed onto that notch, you simply just give a little bend to your film, and you hold that bend there, and you start to roll your film onto that reel. And you keep that bent, and then as it gets to that inside groove that it's meant for, it seats in there. So you just keep rotating through. And you can see I'm keeping in mind to keep my fingers on the edge of the film. You never want to have your fingers right on the actual top of the film. That's how you could smudge the emulsion or leave fingerprints. So you notice that everything I'm doing here is just gripping the film by the edges to prevent any smudging of the film. So keep in mind, this looks pretty easy in the light, but remember that everything we're doing here has to be done in complete darkness so to not ruin the film. And there you have it. All of our film rolled right onto there. You can see it sits in there. And the whole reason of using these film tank rolls is to allow chemical to get on both sides of the film. If there was a section of this that wasn't rolled properly, and one piece of the film was touching another piece, you'd have an area where no chemicals would get to the film. So when you ended up developing it, you'd have a blank spot there where no chemicals could get to it. So that's why it's important to be really proficient and really handy at rolling these film onto these rolls so you don't end up ruining your film. So once you get your film rolled in the darkness, or in your darkroom, then you can put it into your tank and then close it up. And now you have a perfectly light tight seal on your film, and like I said, there's a baffle in the top of this, so by taking off the cap you can add your chemicals for your developer, your stop bath, and your fixer, all while being in the light. So that's the nice part of these film tanks. It allows you to develop in daylight in your workroom here. So that's our steel tank. And then now, once that's developed, or once we've gone through all the steps, really easy, we can just go and pull this guy right back off. And then now we'd have our developed film. And we can set this to the side, rinse it off, let it dry, get it ready for next time. Alright, like I said, we have two types of tanks. We have the steel Brooks tank, and then we have our Patterson. Now the Patterson's a little easier to load because we get these nice plastic reels here. So these plastic reels actually have a ratcheting action in them. So they do this little song and dance. And if we look a little closer, we actually have a little ball bearing here on this film track. And what that does is it kind of acts as a ratchet, so we can ratchet our film onto our roller. So, to show you guys that, you're going to work the same way, where you go into the darkroom. So this is all done in complete darkness as to not expose the film. And with these Patterson reels, what you're going to do is actually take a scissors, and when you have your film leader, you're going to give it a snip across. And then you're going to go and give it little bevels right on the edges. Not too big. Just big enough so that it does not interfere with the film roll, or with the film roller. So you can see just the tiniest little bevels on both sides is all it takes. And that makes loading the film on a Patterson reel all the easier. So what we're going to do is line up our notches, and then we're going to take our film and just get it started onto that thread past those ratchets. And now here's the easy part. All we're going to do is just that ratcheting action, and the film is going to load itself on. All we have to do is keep our fingers there to guide it. There we go. Easy as that. Now, we have one fully loaded reel of film. And now this reel of film would go right into our Patterson tank. And then similar to the Brooks tank, once it's inside there, it is completely light tight, and we can develop with our chemicals in full light. So there you go. And once again, you can even see through there by the gaps in the film for the reel that this allows the film to get chemical on both sides of it evenly. So like I said, if we have any film touching or any areas where the chemical can't reach, we have issues, and you're going to have spots and blank spots on your prints. So there you go. Those are both types of reels for both types of developing tanks. Like I said, I actually have a personal preference toward the Patterson reels because they're so easy to load, and they're also dual purpose, because not only will they do 35, but with a quick twist, they're also set up to do 120, which is great because that's what we shoot down in our darkroom, is 35 as well as 120 film. So, like I said, I like Patterson, but that's personal preference. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.